Hey guys, what's up? It's Katie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today we're going to be talking about the omnipod and looping. So I'm going to answer all the questions that people ask me on my page or on my Instagram account, and I'm going to link below two videos, one that shows you what the app looks like, and then the other one that is just another explanation of loop, but he did it in such a good job that I wanted to show you guys it, just in case I don't succeed your expectations. Anyway, let's get started. So what is Loop? So first off, Loop is not FDA approved. It is all do it your own. And so Loop is an app that will connect to your CGM and your Omnipod or your Medtronic pump, and it will either increase or decrease your basal rates based on your blood sugar that it is getting from your dexcom. And so you can find all the information at loopdocs.com, but in summary, all Loop does is increase or decrease your basal rates depending on your blood sugar. Like, that is Loop in the most simplest forms. Like, if I'm explaining it to a non-diabetic, that's all I would say. And they probably wouldn't even understand that, let's be honest. But next question is, what do I need to build the app? You need a Mac, an iPhone, an Apple app developer program, which is $100. You need the Riley link, which is $150. And you need a pod and a CGM, and that's it. And the only CGMs that work with it is Dexcom and the Medtronic CGM, and the only pumps that work with it is the Omnipod and the Medtronic. That's it for right now. What is the difference between open and closed loop? So open loop means that it will not do anything. Open loop will not change any of your, well, it will do stuff. That was dramatic. It will do stuff, but it will ask for your permission before you do it. So if I'm doing open loop, it will be like, I want to increase your basal rates 2 units per hour. Is that okay? And I have to click it before it will do it. But closed loop will be like, I'm increasing your basal rates 2 units per hour. And like, I won't know. And that sounds scary, but when I say I like won't know, I will know if I open the app and I see it, but if I'm not in the app, I won't know it's doing anything. Like, it's not gonna give me a notification or anything. In fact, closed loop won't even give you a notification, but if you go in the app, it will say it at the top and be like, can we change your basal rates to this? And then I'll have to hit yes. But closed loop, it won't ever ask me like, can we do this? It will just do what it wants to do. And that's what I do. I do closed loop. It's worked for me. All my settings are like dialed in now, so I have no problems with it. And I suggest everybody does closed loop once their settings are in, because sometimes if I do run open loop, I'll forget that I'm on open loop, and then I'll end up going low or going really high because I'm not getting the insulin I need. So next question is, what is the Riley link? This is the Riley link. Like I said, it's $150. It looks like a little computer on the inside. This is where you charge it. This is on and off. Let me compare it to I have big hands. I'll compare it to an eye. So yeah, it's not big at all. I wear mine like a keychain, like this. It doesn't get in the way. Sometimes if I get lonely, I hold it like I'm holding someone's hand. I'm kidding, not really. Anyway, what does the Riley link do? The Riley link takes the information from your phone, from the Dexcom app. That information is already in the Loop app. Loop decides if it wants to increase or decrease your basal rates. If it wants to or stay the same, your basal can stay the same. Mine does most of the time. But if it wants to increase it, it will tell your Riley link. Your Riley link will then send it to your pod, and your pod will be giving you more insulin. So it goes like 1, 2 to 3. A line. This is perfect. So this does pretty much everything. You cannot get insulin if you do not have this. So if you went to the store and you were 120 when you left for the store, and so you're like, I'm just gonna leave my Riley link at home, I don't want to carry it. Bitch, think again. But so you leave your Riley link at home. You get to the store, your sugar's 280 going up for no reason, and you're like, what? I need insulin. Help. You can't get any insulin. You literally can't get any insulin without your Riley link. You get your basal rate, like, so if I get 1.4 an hour, I will get that while I'm at the store. But my basal will not be increased. I cannot take a correction. I cannot bolus for food. I can't do anything except forget the basal that is set for my pod. So if your pod setting is like 1.5 units every hour. That's all you're gonna get, no matter what your sugar is. You can be 50 dropping, you can't suspend it without your Riley link. You can be 300 skyrocketing and you can't increase or take a correction. So no matter what, you should always, if you're looping, you should always have your Riley link with you no matter what. And like I said, I like mine as a bracelet. I've also like put it on my bra and tied it like that. I know people who wear it as lanyards, or the other ones that are like it clips to you and then it, you know, extends and then retracts. I don't know what those are called, but I've seen a lot of people do that and like clip it to their belt. Or you can just keep it in your pocket or your purse or whatever. How do I build the app? All the information on building the app is at loopdocs.com. So I will not help you at all because I struggled enough. That goes to our next question. Is building the app hard? It's not easy, but it's not hard. There's a lot of help on Loopers, Facebook, group chat, whatever, on Facebook. Everybody's always responding there. So if you're struggling and you have a question, use the Facebook page or shoot me a DM. I'll try to help you. Or just like look through the loopdocs.com. Like they have all the information there. You just have to find it. But honestly, it's not that hard. Like building an app sounds very, very intimidating. And I was like, no way I could build an app. I can barely edit a YouTube video. Like, no way. But I did it. So if I can do it, I have faith in you that you can do it because I am so bad when it comes to tech stuff. But it's gonna take a lot of time. It took me about, because you have to update a lot of stuff, you have to buy stuff, you have to buy the Apple app developer thing, and that will take like 24 hours to even become like active in most cases. In my cases, it became like 2 days. It was a hassle. But I would say start building it and have in mind that you're probably not gonna finish building it that day unless you're like an engineer or something. So those are like the basic questions about Loop, except for, let me answer, what are the settings? So the settings are the exact same as you would have for your PDM. If you're on the Omnipod, you have the carb ratio, insulin sensitivity, correction factor, basals, everything. Honestly, the only thing I had to change when I started looping was my insulin sensitivity. I had to make it, instead of 40, I had to make it 50, but all of my settings other than that have stayed the same. My carb ratio, if anything, my carb ratio changed by 1, and all my basals have remained the same. So all the settings are the same, but for me at least, okay? For you, it might be different, but I would say that if you guys are like troubleshooting why you're high or low or whatever, definitely look at your insulin sensitivity factor, because that's the #1 thing that I have to change whenever my sugar's going a little crazy. So those are like the basic questions about Loop. Now I'm gonna ask now people ask me like just other questions. Do I still need my PDM? No, everything will be off your phone. All the insulin that you'll ever take will be from your phone. Some people do it on their watch. I'm not technical, so I did not set up my watch so that I could loop from it. I don't care that much. I got my Dexcom on it and that's good enough for me. I'm still trying to figure out how to work the walkie-talkie setting on my watch. It's not working. Anyway, sidetracked. What if my Dexcom is inaccurate? So I had this fear because my Dexcoms were so inaccurate for like 3 months right before I started looping. But you can do closed loop or open loop like I explained. In open loop, it will be like, say my Dexcom says I'm 200 when really I'm 100. Open loop will be like, can I give you 4 units an hour? And if I check my finger and I'm actually 100, not 200, then I just will ignore it or avoid it. Wow, Katie. English is hard. But I just won't do anything, and then I'll just get my basal rates and I'll stay the same. So if your Dex is inaccurate, I suggest you run an open loop or you don't loop. You can also go into, you can just shut your Dexcom off, like when your Dexcom is warming up. For example, you have to go into the health app and then go down to blood glucose, and then you press add, and then you add in your blood sugar. So if Dex says I'm 200 and I'm 100, I would swipe up, double tap, delete my Dex app. I would go to the health app, I would scroll down, I would hit blood glucose, I'd press add, and I put 100, enter, that's my blood sugar, and then that data will go to your Loop app instead of your Dexcom app. But that's kind of a hassle because you'll have to be checking your finger like every 20 minutes if you want Loop to work successfully. But like during my Dex warm-up, I only enter my blood sugar like I do it like once an hour just to make sure if I'm trending higher, if I'm like low, then I'll check it more often, obviously. But if I'm in range when my Dex starts, then I'll only check it like once or twice and put it in my Loop app or in the health app so that Loop can do its thing. But if I'm in range, I might not even put it in the health app, and I'll just let Loop like do its thing and give me my normal basal rates. The next question is, how do you trust Loop's decision? How do I trust anything in the world, honestly? Nowadays you can't trust anything, but I trust Loop because everything diabetic, like diabetes related, is trial and error. How do I trust, like that'd be like asking me, how do I trust myself to change my basal rates? How do I trust myself that this juice box is gonna kick in? How do I trust myself that I'm guessing the right amount of carbs for this? You don't. I don't trust myself. I don't trust Loop, but it has made my life a lot easier. So I have learned to like it. I wouldn't say trust, but I have learned to just accept it and move on. Loop has never failed me. I don't think Loop has failed anybody except for, I heard one story, but I don't even know if that's true. But at the end of the day, like, you're in charge. Like, this is just an app. This is just a little computer. Like, at the end of the day, you're putting in how much insulin you're getting. You can suspend your pump if you want to. You can do everything at the end of the day that, like, I don't even think that it's a trust thing. It's just a preference. If you want to do open loop, go ahead, do open, and then you don't have to trust it. I trust closed loop because I know all my settings are right. It's pretty easy for me to trust it because nowadays, it's like, once you have diabetes for long enough, you're like, let me just do whatever I want. Like, let's just do whatever works, you know? So it's like, if somebody says that makes their life easier, shit, let me try to, you know? Whatever. The next question is, can it work with the old Omnipod? And yes, it can. Loop can work with the Medtronic pumps and the Omnipod. It cannot work with the Omnipod Dash because that just came out and they have not set it up. I actually think the Omnipod Dash has like different pods, so it won't work at all. But it works with the Omnipod and the Medtronic pumps. Up until like Medtronic pump like 2010 or something, like old Medtronic pumps work really well with it. I know that because that was like the first Medtronic pumps from like 2012, I want to say, maybe later than that. I don't know, but that was like the first pump that ever looped, and Omnipod just became a thing like last year or something. I've only been looping for like 2 months and I swear by it. Maybe 3, I don't know. It's changed my life. I sleep at night now, so that's exciting. Have you had any pod failures because of it? No, and nobody will have pod failures because of loop. If you have a pod failure, that's just because the pod was bad and it would have happened with your PDM. It'd be like your pod falling off. Like, you can't blame loop for that. You can't blame your PDM for that. It's just the pod was bad. So no, I have not had, I've had one pod failure, but it was not because of loop. What is the JoJo branch? So the JoJo branch, there's different, I don't know how many kinds of branches there are that you can build, but I personally built the JoJo branch. And what the JoJo branch does is you can run overrides, which is also known as like temp basals. So when I'm on my period, I run an override. Before I go work out, I run an override. And what it does is, so like my main target right now is to have my blood sugar between 110 and 110, but my override is like, my blood sugar is going to be from 130 to 140. Or when I'm on my period, I like to stay lower because I'm so insulin resistant that I make my target like 80 to 90. So what overrides do is they're just temp basals, and they will give you more, but they'll give you more insulin or less insulin depending on what you want. So when I go work out, I get only 10% of my basal, but when I'm on my period, I get 200% more basal than I normally get. Hormones are awful. But what was I saying? But if I'm running my period, so it will like change everything. So if I'm running my override for my period, which is 200% basal rate, like increase in basal rate, if I go to take insulin and I'm high, it will give me a larger correction than it would if I was not running an override, if that makes sense. Because it, like, I don't know, it just fluctuates, you know? And also the JoJo branch, that I suggest that everybody builds that because when you give yourself insulin, your pod will beep. So every time you get insulin, it will be like beep beep, so that you're 100% know that you get it, because there's been a lot of problems. I don't know about a lot, but I know a few people personally that had problems with loop and they were gonna stop looping because of it. And the problem was that Loop would say like, insulin failed, we did not deliver your bolus, please try again. So they would try again, and turns out they got double the amount of insulin and it worked the first time, which is terrifying because like if I take 6 units because I'm eating a big meal and then I end up taking 12 units on accident because of Loop, it's like now I have to eat more when I'm already full. Help. So the JoJo app will beep, and then and then you'll know when your insulin comes. I have the JoJo branch, but I have not updated it yet. That's a new update, the beeping pod, but I haven't, the beeping pod. That's like the peeping Tom. Oh, but, sorry, I'm getting distracted. But I haven't updated it because I haven't had that problem a lot. Like, I've only had one failed bolus attempt, and it was because my Riley Link was upstairs and I was in my basement. So that's really not, like, don't just because you heard that little part, like, don't freak out. That doesn't happen a lot, and with the new update you'll be fine. Next question, have you gained weight on loop? I don't know, have I? No, I don't think I have. If anything, I'm gonna lose weight over time. I think my prediction is I think I'll lose weight over time because I'm not eating as many low snacks. But then again, there's a flip side to where it's like your sugar is much more stable or better because you're on loop, that you have more freedom to eat more foods. But even before loop, like if I'm looping or not, I'm gonna eat whatever I want. Like diabetes, I always say that, I'm like, diabetes doesn't hold me back from anything. Like, I'm gonna eat what I want. So I don't think that I'll gain or lose any weight depending, like simply based off loop. If anything, I'll only lose weight because I'm not eating as many low snacks. Like, I've only been low, I want to say I only go low like 2 to 3 times a week, where before I was going low like every single workout, and I work out like 5 days a week. So I was going low like 5 days a week, and then after my workouts, in the shower, like I was just going low randomly. And now I only go low if I run an open loop and rage bolus, which is like, duh, Katie. And then lastly, pros and cons of loop. I would say that the con is that loop's predictions, they're working to fix this, but like, say I'm on my period and I'm running a temp basal and I'm like, I know I'm gonna be high, so I'm gonna just take 3 units because I know my body best. I know I need these 3 units and that insulin is water. Like, I'm not gonna drop. Loop does this thing where it shows you a prediction, and one time Loop was like negative 12,072, and I was like, I would be dead. Like, why even show that as a prediction? Just write dead. So like, one irritating thing is that if you don't enter the carbs right, or like if you take insulin and like, I don't know, like if you take insulin but you don't enter carbs or something, and Luke doesn't understand that your hormones are jacked up, then the predictions are going to be off. That was a huge con, especially because I know a lot of people have anxiety with lows. So I was like, that's a huge deal. But somebody DM'd me and told me that they're working to fix it. So hopefully it'll be fixed soon. And then pros is that I sleep wonderful. Like, I sleep and my line is perfectly straight. Another pro is that I don't have to carry my PDM. So like, if I'm going out with my friends and like we're going to eat or something, I don't have to carry low snacks either because I'm like gonna be out in public. So all I have to carry is my Riley Link and my phone. And it's like, you just feel normal, you know, like you're not like pulling out a little PDM. Like, nobody's calling you out like, oh, what's that, a BlackBerry? Like, oh, do you have a pager? That, like, no, shut up. I have diabetes. Okay, I wish it was a pager, but so stupid. But that's like a huge pro for me, is that I just have to have my phone. And if I'm like working out, I can just suspend my insulin off my phone instead of like getting up, going to get my PDM, coming back. Another pro is that, oh, I'm not constantly checking my dexcom. So I know a lot of people can get easily obsessed with their dex, and I was so obsessed with my numbers. Like, if I saw myself somewhat trending up, I would run a temp basal. If I saw myself with like a little sideways down arrow, I would definitely like decrease it 95%. Like, it got to the point where like I was running temp basals like every hour on the hour, and it was just such a hassle, and I was just so consumed with my dex. Like, I couldn't have a conversation without checking my dex, and I couldn't like hang out with my friends or watch a movie without checking my dex. But now with Loop, knowing that Loop is gonna like suspend it and increase it, I barely check my dex. Like, I only check my dex, I want to say I went from checking it every 5 minutes to checking it like twice every 45 minutes. Like, it's been a huge difference, and I just feel like I have so much more freedom because I know, like, I trust Loop and I trust the decisions, and I'm not worrying about going high or going low. So that was like, that's the biggest pro of them all, honestly, is that like I just feel free and I feel happy and normal. And then overall, my looping experience has been very, very enjoyable. I love it. I highly suggest it to everybody else. I have not talked to my endo about it. I've been looping for 3 months. My A1C is a 6.7. I went to my endo. She was like, oh yeah, like, we're not gonna change anything. You're doing good. So I didn't have to tell her I was on loop. I wasn't hiding it. I just didn't mention it. I don't think many endos know about it, but at the same time, I think that if you have a good A1C and you're very good, you're very responsible, and you're very stable, then I don't think an endo would be against it unless they were really, really old school. I think that most endos would prefer you being on this because you would have, most people would have better numbers and better control. And yeah, that's about it. So I'm gonna link Eric's down below that explains it just like I explained it, but with the Medtronic pump, and then I'm going to link another one from loopdocs.com. They like did their own video where it shows the app and it explains the app, and I was gonna show my personal app. I mean, I can right now, but I just thought that the other video did a better job explaining it. So this is what it looks like. It's right here. This means closed loop, blood sugar, increased basal, pod life. This is my blood sugar and what it's predicted to be. This is active insulin. This is the amount that it's increased my basal rates, and this is active carbs. This is if I eat, I would put that in. Let me hit cancel. This is if I want to take insulin. It tells me not to take any right now, but if it would suggest it, it would say like 1 unit right now. And then cancel. This is my overrides. So I have one for cardio, lifting, my period, and then just a temp basal if I'm like stressed or something and I'm running high. And then other than that, that's about it. I'll show you the pod settings, omnipod. You can pause it at any time if you want. Done. And then if I go here, these are all my other settings. So yeah. And if you want to go to basals, you can easily edit them and add some if you want. So yeah, overall, I highly suggest Loop, and I hope this video was very helpful. If it wasn't helpful, I apologize. Try to find somebody else that did a better job. I can't. This is all I can give you. I'm giving you my best. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, like I said, feel free to follow me on Instagram, relatable_T1D, and DM me. I'm constantly on my phone, so I'll answer you in like 30 seconds unless I'm sleeping, because I go to bed at like 9 and wake up at like 9. I get 12 hours of sleep. Thank you, Luke. But yeah, that's it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to subscribe if you want, because we educating. We get in there, you know? I hate myself too. Okay, bye.